Sidney Crosby signs a 2-year extension with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and it kind of goes to show that his main concern is not getting a bunch of money at the back end of his career, but, making decent enough money and allowing a team around him to build so they can get back into the playoffs. Crosby has been getting older, but man, his play, he still looks like he's in his prime. He is just absolutely phenomenal. Let's go right into it. Penguins re-signed Sidney Crosby to a 2-year contract extension. Look at that graphic. That guy is just such a winner. The Pittsburgh Penguins have re-signed Captain Sidney Crosby to a 2-year contract extension. It was announced today, a few days late on this video, by President of Hockey Operations and General Manager Kyle Dubas. The contract runs through 26-27 season and carries an annual cap hit of $8.7 million. 87, 8.7, kind of been a theme with some of his contracts. This is what Dubas had to say. There are no words to properly describe what Sidney Crosby means to the game of hockey, the city of Pittsburgh, and the Penguins organization. Sidney is the greatest player of his generation and one of the greatest players in the history of the game. His actions today show why he is one of hockey's greatest winners and leaders. Sid is making a tremendous personal sacrifice and effort to help the Penguins win both now and in the future, and it has done for his entire career. I think it goes without saying that, Crosby, on the open market, becomes a free agent. There would be a team out there easily be willing to pay him $10 million, especially with his production. Now, Crosby, yes, he has gotten older, but last season in 82 games played, 42 goals, 52 assists for 94 points. This guy is 37 years old and is playing just as good as players in their prime. He's still one of the best centers in all of the NHL. And this is one thing I do have to say. Well, maybe he won't score 130, 140 points, but as a complete center, a complete two-way center, a guy that can play, make, goal score, also back check and take up great defensive responsibility, I still view Crosby as the number one center in that regard. As a complete package, as a center of what you want as a leader, Crosby is a fantastic player to have. And where would you, rank him in the category? I mean, a lot of people are going to make the comparison between Crosby and Ovechkin. If you're saying as a complete player, to me, Sidney Crosby definitely exceeds Ovechkin, and that's no hate. Ovechkin's a Hall of Famer in his own right and one of the greatest goal scorers of all time. But Crosby, just even at this advanced age, is just still putting up terrific numbers. He played a full 82-game season, had 94 points. I mean, last season, 94 points. Season before that, 93. And 69 games played, he had 84 points 3 seasons ago. Just look how tremendous and productive he has continued to be. If Crosby didn't get nicked with certain injuries some years, his points total would have been even higher. And it kind of goes to show how phenomenal of a player that he is. I know we talk about the Connor McDavids, the Nathan McKinnons, but Crosby's still right there even at his advanced age. And he's the type of guy that general managers would just love to find in a draft. I mean, he is that generational talent. I think he has fulfilled all that promise and potential he had when he did get drafted by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Looking at his career totals, 1,272 games, 592 goals, 1,004 assists for 1,596 points. He's just absolutely tremendous. And while the Pittsburgh Penguins aren't really a top-tier contender, it's not because Crosby has fallen off the map. Hopefully, with Crosby taking this deal, they're able to kind of keep bringing in pieces and kind of solidify their roster. So even during the twilight years of Crosby, they can still remain competitive. And who knows, maybe they can go on a surprise cup run if some of their draft picks do hit, prospects do develop, and maybe they bring somebody in that could kind of help, I would say, solidify their top six. I mean, there's a lot to talk about when you really want to talk about Crosby. It's not just that he's still elite at this age, but it's also the willingness to sacrifice money for the betterment of his team. I respect that so much. Mind you, they're still millionaires. They're still making more money than I'll ever see in my whole goddamn life. But at the same time, to take a significant pay cut and not make a few extra million, I mean, we can't really undercut that. That's absolutely incredible. And where we're seeing players cash in, and for all intents and purposes, a lot of players should try to cash in. These owners, let's not try to claim poverty for the owners here. But these players, due to the cap construction, a lot of them are taking up a significant portion of their team's cap and making it harder for their team to build a winner. Where in comparison, Crosby, in his later years, where some players would just be like, no, listen, I'm cashing in. I'm going to get as much as I possibly can. Instead of doing that, He wants to have a good product on the ice. He wants to have good teammates. He wants to be in the playoffs again. He wants to maybe sniff another Stanley Cup championship. And that is just so impressive. It kind of just shows how great of a team guy he is and just how lucky Pittsburgh Penguin fans have been over the years, because Crosby is definitely the greatest player of his generation. And even though I'm not a Penguins fan, I am a huge hockey fan, and I can appreciate the greatness of Crosby. It would be cool to see them build something special around him and maybe go for another Stanley Cup championship. But I'd like to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Does this leave a black eye for maybe a guy like Draisaitl, who's taken all this money, where they could really build something special in Edmonton, where he's taking as much as he possibly can? Does the actions of a guy like Crosby, does that make that look worse, or is that just completely different scenarios? My personal opinion, just so I don't get roasted in the comment section, I'm completely fine with players cashing in, but I do want them to understand that when you do that, it does make it harder to build a team around you, especially with a salary cap era that we currently are in. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I'm Captain Paul. I'll see you in the next one.